This is another video, covers the same thing in the first video on Defiance. And these are the documents that are in the thing. The first document is the People's Protest Day, April 6, 1952. These are the things that's in the document. You guys should have read the documents. It's in your book, A Short History of Apartheid by Robert Gordon. Or is it David Gordon? Last name is Gordon. We deserve the right to live as human beings. It's pretty simple and straightforward, right? They organized this Defiance campaign that the Youth League did. And it coincided with Jan van Riebeck's arrival, the celebration of his arrival in South Africa in 1652, Southern Africa, because South Africa didn't exist. It says black people should get to vote, and apartheid laws should end. This is 1952, they're saying this. Apartheid starts in 49 or 48, 49. They're saying it in 52. When I said starts in 48, 49, and you know the class starts with the native land laws, which was in 1913. Why they get when they finally just organized and said this is what we're going to do, they had already been building up to that. Kind of like what's going on now with Project 2025 as Donald Trump builds up to the things that they want to do. The document calls for the vote of black people. It also states that apartheid created poverty for Native Africans through high prices, low wages, destruction of homes, theft of cattle in national areas, etc. You know, they just took the wealth and then systematized the taking of the wealth through the apartheid laws. That's what this document is saying, and it's true. Now, this one, what I mentioned earlier about the women, the past laws expanding to women. This is the document that says no, we're not going to do that. Women of all races protested that. White women, and because they said we as women, mothers, we're the mothers of the nation. Why are you doing this? They said that Prime Minister Strijum was going to die. They said you strike a rock, you strike when you strike the women, you strike a rock. And they said Strijum, you're going to die, and he died. They basically did a word curse on him, and he died. And yeah, it was just a way of further criminalizing blackness with the law, criminalizing blackness and expanding it to women. Started with men and expanded to women. This song is a beautiful song. It is the national anthem for more than just South Africa, a few countries in the area. I don't know all of them. But in the Zulu version, it says, Lord bless Africa, may her glory be lifted high. Hear our petitions. God bless us, your children. God, we ask you to protect our nation, intervene and end all conflicts. Protect us, protect our nation, South Africa. Enoch Satonga wrote it. He was a Osab Methodist member. He composed it in 1897. It was the primary protest song for the ANC, and all groups protesting apartheid would sing it as protest to the government. Congress of the People Freedom Charter, they met June 25th through 26, 1955. They penned this in Kliptown, Soweto, which is a part of Southwest Township, a part of Johannesburg. And this was the guiding principle for the ANC and all the other organizations that were affiliated with the ANC. They said apartheid was illegitimate because it wasn't of the people for the people. The apartheid government was illegitimate because it was just only a small group of people who created and ran it. They called for the people to share in the nation's wealth, stop taking the wealth and spreading it only to white people. Land ownership should be extended to the people who work the land, because in rural areas, these farms, despite the native land laws, which required all blacks to live on native areas, there were some who worked on farms, but the farms were owned by whites. All people should be equal before the law. Shouldn't be a set of laws for whites and another set for natives. All national groups are equally respected and protected, including the whites. They said we want to create a law that's going to protect everybody. So what happens is the South Africa that you see today, more or less, is what's described in this charter. Robert Sobukwe says race is a social construct, and he says white supremacy is false, and he says that whites are foreigners, Indians are foreigners, and they should not be included in the power of this country, that this should be only for the natives here. He didn't say he hated white people or he hated Indians. He said, this is our problem. We should work it out. Remember, I told you in an earlier lecture where there was a split in the ANC, some tension between those who were more Africanist and those who wanted to be to work with all the different races who had a like mind. Well, Robert Sobukwe was an Africanist. Africa for Africans and all those who want to pledge allegiance to Africa and accept the democratic rule of an African majority. If it says freedom of Native Africans is freedom for everyone. This is in his opening address to the Pan-Africanist Congress. They did not like Robert Sobukwe, and they got him out of the way. This was a proud moment. Chief Albert John Muvumbi Lutuli won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1961. Points from the lecture, you could read you should have read it by now. He said this award is for Africa. He talks about the violence of colonization throughout the continent, not just in South Africa. He states the myth of white supremacy and his continual teaching to generation of whites despite the destructive effects of it. He does praise some white men like David Livingstone, who came and built medical missions there in Southern Africa. And he explains that white supremacy, the idea that whites are automatically superior to all non-whites, is the driving force for all of colonization. He ends his speech with the defiance of Native Africans, apartheid, and all other forms of racial colonial suppression must continue. These are the documents that went along with what was in the previous lecture. So you guys keep on reading. We don't have much time left in the semester.